Good morning, everybody. Daniel Allison, the average dude, and Fred and I were doing a little dancing backstage.
Yeah, we are at separate locations, though. Let's don't get that confused.
We weren't slow dancing. Come on, man.
Hey, I want to be clear when you use language like that.
You don't want to. You may compliment my hair, but you don't want to dance with me.
Nah. I'll dance who I brought.
I tell you what, it's fun on a Friday to have a little fun. I did notice you doing like a little breathing exercise, like a big deep breath in, and then you did kind of like a, oh, I like that. That centers us. That centers us, gets us ready for the day. Good morning, everybody. Daniel Allison, the average dude, along with my friend Freddie at Bobcat, and welcome to show number 284, actually, 284.
84, first sip, let's go.
And that is the Call of the Wild. And you know what I'm going to do right away on the Call of the Wild? I'm going to go ahead and bring in our guest. It's part 2 of Antarctic Mike today. And I want him up here. Here he comes. Oh, there he is. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, gang.
Away from Cali.
That's it.
Hey, great. There's the cat. Hey, look here, we've got some bus riders this morning, guys. We've got Vicky Watts, Hello Friday, and First Sip. Always great to have V-Dub on here. It's great to see their comments. And Mike, a lot of times you're in the comments. V-Dub, she's a sharp lady. She does an incredible job doing her thing.
We have a new guy.
Who? Oh, yeah.
Hammond. Russ Hammond's here. Welcome, Russ. It's your first time. We appreciate you, buddy.
I've never seen this fella. Happy Friday. It's a great day to sail. Talk to Russ. He went to the game last night. Always great catching up with Russ. Such a great guy. Red Wing Shoes, Spartanburg, South Carolina. I hope someone hears that today and goes out and buys them a pair of boots, Mike.
I think you should. Fridays are buying boot days. Look, and if you ain't going to buy a pair of boots, buy a Bobcat, okay?
Yeah. I like it. Hey, and if you don't want any of those things, you need to hire our guest as your next speaker at whatever event you're doing, because he's been doing it for many, many years now. And one of the great adventures of his life, and something that turned into a big part of it, he told us about that first part, and that was Shackleton's journey, his voyage to Antarctica. And it's a very inspiring story, but it changed your life and it led to quite the adventure, didn't it, Antarctic Mike?
It did. I got so inspired after learning about the story, I decided I'm going to follow these characters, literally, all the way to Antarctica. So what happened was in January of 2005, there was a press release sent out by a company based in London, England. And the press release basically said, for the first time ever in world history, we are going to host a marathon, 26.2 miles. And it's going to take place on an ice shelf located 600 miles from the South Pole. And at the time, I was not a professional speaker. I was a headhunter. And a friend of mine said to me, hey, that marathon in Antarctica, that you got to go. Like, if you want to talk about these guys, Shackleton and all these characters that went there years ago, you have to go or you don't have any credibility. And that's the reason why I went.
I've got a question.
Were you running?
Yes, I was a runner at the time, but I wasn't a marathon runner. I hadn't run that distance in 20 years, literally.
Gotcha.
So this was way in over my head.
Mike, I have another question. And these are some questions. We've known Mike for a while, so we have our own interesting questions. How did you oh no, I forgot my question. What was were you a speaker before? You said you were a headhunter and then you went on that adventure. Did people tell you, hey, you would be a good speaker? That's what I got curious about.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was the direction I wanted to go. I just didn't have the content or the credibility to go out
Yeah,
there and be real. So
I'm with you.
that's why I went to Antarctica. I had created a leadership course for the employer I was working for, but I hadn't been
Mm.
to Antarctica. So once I'd been to Antarctica, then I had the right, so to speak, to talk about those guys.
I got it. I got it. But that's an interesting part of the story and something that I didn't hear. So obviously you've talked about that particular part of your journey. That was a big part, especially early in your speaking career, correct?
Yes.
And tell us how that adventure went, what you learned from it, why it's been such a powerful thing for you.
Well, the interesting thing, it's not just 26.2 miles. It was like running 26.2 miles in sand because you see literally because
Yeah.
it's the driest climate in the world. So what happens is all the moisture in the ice that's on the ground evaporates. And so what you're left with are ice crystals that are much more like sand, literally like sand. And
Mm,
that's why it was so hard because, I mean, try running on a beach, right?
right.
Very difficult to do. So that was very difficult. But, my mindset going into this whole thing was I'm not here to be an athletic tourist. In other words, I knew my heroes from 100 years ago obviously went into stuff that was hard. So I was not only expecting it to be hard, I was hoping it would be hard, literally, because that was the attraction. It wasn't so much that I wanted to run another marathon because I'd run this distance in 20 years, but it was the fact that I could actually participate in something that somewhat resembled what my heroes went through 100 years ago.
Absolutely,
You
Fred.
knew it was going to be hard. Why would you
I,
do
well,
something on purpose that's hard?
Well, that's the question people ask me. Well, I think there's something that's very magnetic about people that go in over their head. That people that try things for the first time ever, people that are doing things that others can't or won't. I mean, this is all what it takes to be successful out here in the everyday world, right? That's why, you look at people that grew up on farms as kids. These are kids that got up at 2 3 in the morning in the rain, the snow, the dark, the tornadoes, and they feed the animals before they eat, right? I mean, and you look at the kind of things they can contend with today, problems and with business, with marriage, with whatever. I mean, it doesn't shake them because they understand what it means to respect hard things. And that was the character quality that I saw in this guy named Ernest Shackleton, and said, I'm walking in his shoes.
What I love, it reminds me a bit of like Winston Churchill, go on an adventure and write about that adventure. And that's what you did. You took one moment, one energetic kind of seed, and you grabbed onto it, and it grew into this new career and this new life where you started speaking, and I think
Right.
we all have those opportunities.
We do. And we can create them for ourselves to a much greater degree than we sometimes think. But we have to be willing to take some chances and do some things that make us uncomfortable. I mean, people ask me, you probably weren't very comfortable. And I'm like, no, you kind of become comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, that's where the training in the freezer really came in. And that's a whole different segment. But I mean, I trained so hard for this thing, it was almost absurd. Right. But yet that was really what enabled me to do it, was the fact that I went in mentally and physically completely 100% ready to go.
Yeah, but let's not skip what you just said. You trained in a freezer.
I did.
Preparation.
Yeah, it was all about really more the mental than the physical. Because in Antarctica is the nickname. One of the nicknames of Antarctica is the land of no horizon. So what happens is, part of the course, we went behind a mountain pass, and that was about 15 miles. And then we had to do a 10-mile stretch to complete the marathon that was literally out like in the plains. And there were no visual reference points anywhere out there. So you'd be going and going and going forward, right? You're expending energy, but yet you could not, there were no visual signs of forward progress, right? So you mentally had to keep going, even though your mind is not saying, hey, I'm moving forward and I'm making progress. And that's really where the mental aspect of this came into the picture. And that was harder than the physical.
Absolutely. Let's see what B-Dub says here. She says, love that success does require us to do things that others can't or won't. Can't learn, but won't, you can't do much with. Love that, Mike.
That's very true.
It is. And like you said, we all have those opportunities. I know you love to kind of follow your curiosity. You travel the country, you talk to people, you may have something that grabs your interest, and there's energy behind that interest. And you saw that Shackleton story, and it inspired you to start training in a freezer and doing things that you haven't done. So talk about following as you travel and hear stories and talk to people. Talk about how all things are connected, let's say.
I meet the most interesting people out on the highways and the roadways of America. And I look at the people that are really successful, and I see a pattern, and the pattern is very much like what I put myself through when I went to Antarctica. These are people that are trying things that others can't or won't, businesses that are solving problems that other people haven't solved, adding value, creating experiences for people. When you start solving problems, adding value, and creating experiences that other organizations can't or won't, you become a magnet, and people start wanting to be a part of it. It's amazing how better customers and better employees just start showing up in your intersections.
Oh, wow. I love talking to Mike because he makes me think, and we have conversations like this all the time, but, talk about bringing value to, if we're calling on somebody, if we're selling our product or service, and it's hard to differentiate, but if we say, hey, who is the customer, talking to the person we're trying to sell, who is it that you're trying to sell to? Who is it? How can I help you acquire more customers? And really put ourselves, as we get more experience and we're connected to more people, oftentimes that's part of what we can do as well. I love that, Mike.
Absolutely. It's not just what my product or service can do for you. It's how can the people that I'm already connected to help you, and who can I introduce you to? That's really the key. Every time I meet somebody new, I start thinking about, well, who do they need to know? Because I got a bank vault full of people, right, that I know. And I'm like, okay, well, then this person needs to know this guy and this lady and this person. And I just start making the connections.
A challenge is exactly that. If you remove the sense of progress, it becomes very challenging to not get that feedback on, hey, we've got forward motion, things are going well. If you were speaking to an audience and they weren't responding at all, talking about running in Antarctica and not seeing the horizon and things, that makes it extra hard, doesn't it?
Well, it's very hard, especially for salespeople, when they think, if I do this, this, and this, then I'll see this result, right? And I'm not saying don't have goals and don't go after results, but I think part of what is really important is to let go of those expectations and those outcomes. In other words, just do the activity because it's the right activity and it's the right thing to do, and let the expectations go and the outcomes go. And you know what? You'll get more than enough of what you need. You just will.
I love it. Conversations with customers, hanging out with customers, talking to customers, finding out how things are going. Freddie, you've been doing that a long time, selling people Bobcats.
I have, and something that we flew by a few minutes ago was Mike mentioned creating experiences, and it doesn't take much to be different and separate yourself by creating an experience, and you will stand out.
That's huge. Hey, that was round 2 of Antarctic Mike. And Mike, it was great for you to join us.
10 after already. Holy cow.
I know. Hey, 7:55 to 8:10. 284 straight. We'll see you next week. Have a great Friday. See you, Mike.
Take care, guys.
Go
Bye.
do something your competition won't.
Ooh, I like it. Let's roll.